He's been reinstated to Disney's ABC network. I wonder why. Well, joining me this evening is broadcasting royalty Christo Fufas. We've got writer and commentator Benjamin Butterworth and GBNews contributor and comedian Archie Manners. Heck of a lot to go to tonight, and we are going to be gearing up big time for the Late Show Live, which is midnight until 2 a.m. with the wonderful Bev Turner and Ben Leo, who are over stateside taking it by storm. But first, let's get your headlines with Katie Bowen.
Patrick, thank you and good evening. The headlines at 2 minutes past 11. France has become the latest country to officially recognise the state of Palestine, as world leaders are currently attending a summit on the two-state solution at the UN. President Emmanuel Macron's move comes as the UK, Canada, Australia and Portugal all made the declaration ahead of the summit. Belgium and Monaco have joined France tonight as well. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu condemned the UK's decision as a reward for terrorism, insisting a Palestinian state will not happen. Israel's ambassador to the UN, Danny Danon, says a two-state solution has been off the table since October the 7th. Addressing the Assembly tonight, President Macron said that the time has come to free the hostages and that nothing justifies the ongoing war in Gaza. Elsewhere today, several charities have now cut ties with Sarah, the Duchess of York, after it was disclosed she sent a message to convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein describing him as a supreme friend. A spokesman for the Duchess said that she sent the email in which she apologised to Epstein for associating him with paedophilia in the media because he threatened to sue her. The Teenage Cancer Trust, who worked with the Duchess for 35 years, has dropped her as patron, as has Julia's House, the Natasha Allergy Research Foundation, Prevent Breast Cancer and the Children's Literacy Charity. The British Heart Foundation becomes the latest organisation to make the move. The Duchess of York spokesman said that the email sent in April 2011 was sent in the context of advice she was given to try to assuage Epstein and his threats. The government has blasted Nigel Farage's new immigration and welfare plans as half-baked, unfunded and falling apart in real time. Reform UK says it would scrap indefinite leave to remain and ban migrants from accessing benefits, claiming the move could save £230 billion. But Labour and the Chancellor say the numbers have no basis in reality, warning the policy risks breaking up families and harming businesses. Mr Farage insists the changes would end what he calls the era of cheap foreign labour and cut the welfare bill. To America, where US President Donald Trump has claimed that the use of a pain relief drug during pregnancy leads to an increased risk of autism. The president made the claims during a press conference with his health secretary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Critics say that little evidence of a link exists. As part of the announcement, the president pledged $50 million towards studying autism.
Tylenol during pregnancy can be associated with a very increased risk of autism.
And sticking with American news, Jimmy Kimmel's TV show will return tomorrow after the programme was pulled following the host's comments on Charlie Kirk's assassination. The Walt Disney Company, which owns broadcaster ABC, said they'll return the show tomorrow. Mr Kimmel was taken off air last Wednesday after he suggested MAGA supporters aim to score political points from the assassination of the Conservative activist. Those are your latest GB News headlines, so let's go back to Patrick.
You can now watch GB News live across the United States of America and the world on Truth Plus. Scan the QR code to find out more or visit gbnews.com/truth.
Welcome along to Late Edition. Let's get stuck straight into Tuesday's front page as we start with the Metro. PM defends Gatwick expansion as climate campaigners attack £2 billion airport plan. Starmer tells the nation to lose the no mentality. There we go. The Guardian. outrage as Farage threatens mass deportation of legal immigrants. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Well, they're not telling you those. They might be legal immigrants, but they're immigrants that we're all paying for. So, you know, bye. There we got the Daily Star. The Daily Star, new Reeves tax will drive punters to shady bookies. The Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, is at odds on to lose her job after slapping a betting tax on bookies that will hit punters in the pocket. So betting tax, taxi tax she had. Then we'll come on to this one, but there's also talk of her taxing pensioners even more as well. I mean, they really are just seeing anything they can... I mean, they're going to tax like kebabs next, aren't they? The Eye, new Farage plans to deport migrants would split families who live in Britain. Parents who have lived in the UK for decades could be deported, while their children would be able to stay. The Daily Telegraph, here you go. Rachel Reeves told to launch a tax raid on pensioners by a Labour think tank. By the way, that Labour think tank previously employed loads of people who are currently Labour MPs. They're going to cut 2% from national insurance and levy it on their income. So there we are. And they've also got a bit of a story, I think, about Trump and his autism announcement. The Independent, Farage deportation plan condemned as unworkable stunt. Let's go to the Mirror. Farage's disastrous plan labelled the NHS wrecker. They're doing that tried and tested thing, which is that if anything dares harm our, quotes, beloved NHS, then it's therefore awful. The Daily Mail, will the King now banish Fergie? So Sarah Ferguson is being cancelled in real time. It's still happening. Charities are pulling out rather quickly. No. The Times, Farage faces questions on migrant benefit sums. EU citizens leave hole in savings worth billions. The Sun. Now, this is a big one. Christian Bruckner, who was possibly / still is the prime suspect in the disappearance of Madeleine McCann, has come out and said that he can solve the scandal of a century. He says he has information that could reveal what happened to Madeleine McCann. The Daily Express, we must make dementia an NHS priority. Those are your front pages. Let's get stuck straight into what is getting the most treatment on most of them, which is Nigel Farage's deportation plan. Now, if you're just joining us, Nigel Farage has basically said he's going to scrap indefinite leave to remain and that people are going to have to reapply for British citizenship or a right to stay, I should say, every 5 years, that no migrant is going to be able to claim any benefit, that social housing is only going to go to Brits, and, yeah, they think that could save around 234 billion quid. Christo, are you in favour of it?
It's a difficult one because my dad has indefinite leave to remain.
Bye-bye.
He's gone. See you later.
Ciao. Sorry.
Off he goes.
Sorry. Didn't mean to start with that.
He's on the plane as we speak, taking him to Heathrow at 6 a.m. And actually, we're going to put a blanket over him so he doesn't even know where he's going. But thank you for your sympathy.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
In principle, actually, even though my dad has indefinite leave to remain, I am in favour of this. And now I don't want to say goodbye to because I am looking forward to seeing my dad gone. No, because I do understand the logic of if you are not a net contributor to the economy, then it doesn't make sense. I know that this is completely anecdotal, but I'm addicted. Do you ever watch those sort of Can't Pay, Take It Away, those bailiff
Channel 5.
Channel 5. I absolutely love them. And they're always evicting people, right, from these houses. And it's always people who have not long been in the UK and they have children and then they say to them, right, well, you just go to the council and they will have...
Are you pitching for a new GBNews show here where we go around as we deport people like your father? This is a 1 hour special. Christo deports. Coming soon.
Yeah, you
have to
That's what worries me.
You have to fight me for the right to host that show.
However, but let's look at my dad. Arrived here in 1970.
Yeah.
After Brexit, had to sort of do indefinite leave to remain. Now they're saying, well, maybe you shouldn't have actually needed to apply for indefinite leave to remain. Maybe you've got settled status.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is in chaos as we speak. But he has paid into the system, never taken a thing out for 55 years. So...
it's quite easy, to be honest. All Nigel Farage at the next election would have to do is just clarify that people like your dad...
Well, he has already. What he said is you have to reapply. Now, that might be a little bit chaotic as a policy, and also it's anxiety-inducing for people like your father. But also, how old is your father? I mean, 2029 is a long way away. So it's like, will he? He'll just have to reapply. That's all he'll have to do. That's the system that they've come up with. And the idea is if they're paying, it won't matter.
Very, very, very vibrant and healthy 75-year-old who still is in in full-time work because he's Greek, and Greeks work till they drop dead.
So he will stay?
So, yeah, that's the detail I want, because in principle I'm in favour, but if it's basically just going to be this blanket thing, and that is the thing with Farage, is that I do think that he's great at sort of throwing these things out, but I need to know more from him, because if it's just the principle, then I agree, but if it's the detail...
Let's also just have a look at the front of the mirror, if we can. So the way that the left-wing press are going at Nigel Farage's immigration announcement, the Mirror have gone for the NHS wrecker, Farage's disastrous plan. Now, you kind of know when the left are clutching at straws when they start banging on about the NHS. It's all the time, NHS this. We had a church service for the NHS not so long ago. I'm not surprised. But Nigel Farage has been warned that his bid to deport legal migrants could cripple the NHS and care sectors that rely on them. Well, I'm sorry, but if everyone is actually genuinely coming to work in the NHS, then it shouldn't. Because they'd be being paid. And they wouldn't be on benefit.
Let's not forget, when they did the higher national insurance for hiring a foreign worker, when that was in their manifesto, they exempted the NHS from it because Reform were able to recognise that actually there are certain sectors where you might need to have exceptions to allow...
Are we not...
So they might do that.
Are we not missing the point here? I think what Nigel does, or is doing quite brilliantly if you're a supporter of Nigel, the detail doesn't matter. He's got everyone here talking about it. He's got half the newspapers talking about it. It's like the £350 million figure for the NHS. It's not really about detail for him. He's got everyone talking about should we deport people who are a net drain on the state. Well, that's where he's brilliant.
Well, to answer that question, should we? Because you're right, it's fundamentally that's what this is about. Should we deport people who are a net drain?
Well, I think UKIP boy has said the quiet bit out loud, right? It's not about...
UKIP boy? What an extraordinary accusation to make.
It's not the detail...
He's not a boy, look at him.
True, I take that half back. You know, the fact is that he can make these sweeping statements, but he has none of the detail, none of the thought, and that would cripple this country. If you said to the many hard-working migrants that have come to this country, some of them, many of them, in paying jobs in a place like London, that they have to reapply every 5 years, that would see so many of them not come here, leave. It would see people who've worked for decades, contributed more than the average British person has for us to all have a state that functions, and then they're thrown out. What, if they get sick for 6 months at 60 years old?
No, but
what, you get cancer in your 60s and you're kicked out of the country? How is that a British way to behave?
Surely there is going to be some logic to this, and if you are someone who has paid into the system for... Well, I don't think we're going to take logic or lessons of logic from you, Benjamin. I was listening to the nonsense you were spouting about this on the way in the car, and honestly, I nearly ran it off the road to get away from listening to you, because you were hysterical, saying, oh, my word, this is going to mean that all these people that have paid into the system are going to be sent away. Well, actually, no, because all those people that have paid into the system presumably are not a drain, and if this is only people who are a drain, well, then all those people that you were sort of hysterically going on about will be fine.
Well, unless Prime Minister Farage, God forbid, is going to add up the net contributions and outtakes, which would basically be impossible from each individual and would cost a fortune to do.
It's not really.
It's not impossible. It's how much tax do you pay? That's very
salary.
easy.
Yeah.
You can work out how much you put in, but you can't work out how much you took out. So how do you decide who is a net drain? And what if someone got sick in their life?
We know what it is, Ben.
Yeah,
but we all do know.
I don't think you should kick out hard-working people who chose Britain to build their life because they might get sick in middle age.
But if they build their life taking more out of Britain than them putting in, then are they actually making a positive contribution to Britain?
Let's deal with some of the facts here, because so as of 2021, 15% of all social housing was occupied by foreign nationals. That number will now, by definition, be a lot higher, especially that since 2021 we've been putting a load more of them in HMOs. So let's just say that 25% of all social housing is occupied by a foreign national. Well, under Nigel Farage's plans, I believe they would go.
There's going to be loads of houses everywhere. It's going to be an absolute free-for-all. People like me will be able to buy one. My age will be able to buy a house. Brilliant. I'm all in favour.
But, I mean, look,
When you're running out of time to get a mortgage?
No, I don't need a mortgage, darling. Look, I know.
Well,
other people.
So this brings me on to the Guardian's front page. Outrage as Farage threatens mass deportation of legal migrants. And I'm sorry, but I don't think that the British voters are that outraged by it. I think they want it.
I think the editor of The Guardian is outraged, and that's about it.
Absolutely, yeah.
And Ben's outraged.
You're outraged, but you get paid to be outraged, don't you, Ben? So that's sort of...
Rumour has it. But, do you know, I think there are serious concerns, and the NHS is a real question. You know, there are hundreds of thousands of people in the NHS not born here, and that system wouldn't function. If you look at hospitality...
Why would they be asked to leave? I mean, they're not morons. Surely they're going to say, right, the NHS has these people working in it. They are therefore working. They are therefore paying paying tax. They are therefore making a contribution, so we won't send them away. But if you are someone who is not working, who is claiming housing benefit, who has not worked at all and is in social housing, and you have never made a contribution, surely it's those people they're talking about.
It's not what they're saying, because if you have to reapply for your status to be here every 5 years, then there's going to be a lot of people that say, all right, Britain doesn't want me, I'll leave this country, I'll go elsewhere.
Oh, heaven forbid, we might have to train our own people.
Well, now you're backing down.
Oh, my word.
Those people have worked hard for decades. You know, of the immigrant population, they're more likely to be entrepreneurs, they earn more on average, they contribute more than average than the British born.
Okay. Those people
But they won't choose to live
okay.
here because we're rejecting them. I think it's distinctly
so
un-British.
are you saying, therefore, then, what this policy might result in is a lower level of immigration? Oh, my word. Imagine,
I'm saying result in it would cripple
it's
our economy.
Like that's the point of the policy.
Let me tell you, I did my degree at the London School of Economics, which is 70% overseas, and they are the brightest people in the world. They wouldn't be choosing Britain under Farage.
Do you know what?
Oxford, Cambridge, they're not the brightest in the world.
I'm so sick of
Unless
this
he's
argument.
ranked higher than Oxford and Cambridge.
I'm just so sick of this argument that we've got to basically have uncontrolled immigration just because universities might suffer. Sorry, universities should be businesses.
Well, just blow the whole country up. Why not, Christo?
But you talk about blowing the country. I would have more sympathy for that point of view. We're going to talk about this a bit later on, but I will just bring this in now because the front page of the Daily Telegraph, which is that Reeves told to launch a tax raid on pensioners. So more pensioners are going to end up paying more tax after many of them were clobbered with the winter fuel payment. There's also some other stories doing the rounds, I believe, about tax, what Rachel Reeves is going to tax. I think it's on the front of the Daily Star as well. Bucky's, if you gamble or something, it's going to tax you. Also, if you get a taxi, it's going to increase the price up by 20%.
That's just because it's got the word tax in my name, isn't it? She's just seen the word taxi and thought, I'll do that. That's all it is.
But the point that I'm making here...
Taxidermists, they're screwed.
The immigration articles that are on the front of most of the left-wing newspapers are about Nigel Farage trying to make a saving for Britain, whereas the Telegraph has got Rachel Reeves taxing anything she can flipping see.
Do you know what? If she does this, my dad will be happy to leave. I'm telling you now, he will be very happy to leave.
But this has come from the Resolution Foundation, which I'm sure is full of beautiful, wonderful people. But they are mainly the Parliamentary Labour Party now, including the people that now work for Rachel Reeves, who I imagine shortly after the budget will be unemployed like she is. So I don't think we should take it that seriously at this stage.
Well, I don't know. The other way to look at it is we absolutely should. I mean, they are writing the budget.
They've probably already written it. That's what's amusing. It has to go to the OBR 6 weeks beforehand, so it's already decided.
But can I just point out that if you look at the economic projections for Britain into the middle of this century, we are, despite all the doom and disaster that we speak of, Britain is actually expected to still be the 5th or 6th largest economy in the world by the middle of this century. It is expected to perform much better than places like Germany and France because we will have a better percentage of working-age people because of immigration. So if you start taking all of them out of the jigsaw while you've still got the growing number of pensioners, then we have a fundamental problem. You cannot get around that.
Why do we need to have immigration in order to have working-age people?
Well, if you don't have any... Well, we're a generation past that question because we haven't had enough kids.
Because we haven't had enough kids. Why do you think we haven't had enough kids?
Patrick's doing his best, guys. You know, we're launching GB News America today. He's launched a baby today. It's all, the GB News family's been quite busy.
You for that, you know that I personally have to know.
We need a few more.
However, it's because of the fact that people can't afford to have children. Why? Because housing is such a massive cost for people, meaning two parents have to work, meaning they can't afford childcare. So that's why we need to bring people in order to be able to have people doing work.
All right, fantastic. Does anyone else on this panel plan on having kids anytime soon?
Let's move on, Patrick.
Well, I keep trying.
Buy me a drink first.
No, fair enough. OK, all right, fair enough. Look, coming up in just a moment, we have got we're going to be hearing from this guy.
Tylenol during pregnancy can be associated with a very increased risk of autism.
Well, it's big news. President Trump, I think, claims to have found one of the causes for autism and also possibly a cure for cancer. It's a big day. Stay tuned.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
This week, an extraordinary art discovery was made on an estate agent's listing in Mar del Plata in Argentina. Above a velvet sofa hangs an old master portrait lost for more than 80 years, looted by the Nazis. Its reappearance has reignited interest in the long quest to restore stolen heritage. Joining me now is historian Michaela Hume.
It's a fascinating story. So, a lady who is a descendant of a former soldier who worked with Hermann Göring has, it is believed for years, has had some art that has been looted, that was looted during World War II. And I think people have approached her about this over the years, and she's categorically denied having any looted art. And she goes then to put one of the houses, I think, that was owned by her father up for sale, and hasn't realised that art that is believed to have been looted is actually on these images that the estate agent has taken.
Although it is extraordinary, it's kind of not entirely a surprise in the sense that the flat did belong to a Nazi official, is that right?
That's correct, yeah. And we know that Hermann Göring himself was a collector of art. I think during the 1940s, it was said that he was getting, on average, about 3, paintings, what we would call masterpiece paintings, a week. So we know that a large percentage of this looted art was going to him. It was even said that he had masterpieces just hung up in his cabin in the country, So it's highly plausible that he has given a piece of art to one of his right-hand men that has then been, passed down to his daughter.
The People's Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight, late edition. It's a story that has managed to make the front page of a couple of national newspapers, but this is the big announcement of huge medical shake-up involving autism in the United States.
The meteoric rise in autism is among the most alarming public health developments in history. There's never been anything like this.
President Trump went on to announce that the use of paracetamol, specifically in the form of Tylenol, which is a pharmaceutical brand, it's a type of pill, isn't it, I think, by pregnant women. So women during pregnancy can lead to autism. He also went on to say that he thinks that when babies are given immunisations and vaccines, that should be spread out over a period of time as opposed to given, as he would put it, in a huge doses kind of in a wanna, spread it out over a period of years. OK, joining us now is Lucy Johnson, who's GB News Health and Science Editor. Lucy, thank you very, very much. Tremendous to see you. Right, let's just deal with the autism/paracetamol link first, please. What's the reaction been like to this? Is this a major breakthrough?
Well, the reaction over here has been one of anger, I think, from many scientists who say that the link is not at all proven. However, it is a really difficult thing to unpick. The causes of autism are very complicated. The actual people with autism have it's a broad spectrum of conditions. And we have found in the past that there have been some studies linking a particular epilepsy drug to increased rates of autism, antidepressants linked to increased rates of autism in children. And the numbers of children with autism has exponentially risen over the past 80 years since it was first kind of identified. So that was, it's about 1 in 36 now, and it was about 1 in 2,500 then.
1 in 36? Sorry to cut you off, but this is really, I think, actually really important, because there's a debate, isn't there, about whether or not we're getting better at diagnosing it or whether or not something is fundamentally causing it. So Trump seems to be thinking that it's being caused. basically?
It's really difficult to prove causation. I mean, there are studies, there was a big study in Sweden to try and debunk the idea that autism was linked to paracetamol when taken during pregnancy. And it looked at siblings. There was 2 million children involved, I think, in that study with siblings, and it found no link. But then other scientists point to the fact that many women might not remember what they took in pregnancy. Other scientists say, well, if you're taking paracetamol in pregnancy, you may be in pain and you may have problems that may be linked to autism. So it's not easy to prove, but while there is no clear proof, I think it's made some scientists over here angry that there's this sort of top-down approach to, we've sorted this, we've found the answer. Actually, things are much more nuanced and much more complicated, and maybe there's a case for looking at this and looking at it again in a different way. But it's perhaps misleading, and it's perhaps upsetting to pregnant women to think that they may have caused a problem in their child when that may not be the case. There's so many different things. The age of conception, you might be starved of oxygen at birth. There's also a genetic component that's been linked. So it's a bit of a mess, and we really don't know why the numbers are rising. But it's always worth sort of keeping an open mind. Medicine, science always changes, and we do discover things down the line. For example, the link with the drug valproate, which is clearly linked to cases of autism in babies and children. So it's always worth looking at things. It's part of a whole shake-up of public health in America. Robert Kennedy, the health secretary, said he would find the cause of autism by September. Again, a very brave thing to claim, and he's very skeptical. He has always been very skeptical about vaccines, about environmental toxins, and he's really worried. So, and I know we've talked to America's chief scientist here on GBNews, and he says that President Trump really cares about this, and he's particularly interested in autism, and he really wants to get to the bottom of it.
Well, thank you very, very much, Lucy. A real pleasure. Thank you for joining us, especially at this late hour. It's Lucy Johnson there, as GB News' health and science editor. I want to bring you a little bit of breaking news, which we're going to discuss with my panel now, which is that President Trump has just designated Antifa as a terrorist organisation. So that's the breaking news for you. Now, moments ago, US President Donald Trump signed an executive order designating the Antifa movement as a domestic terrorist organisation. That's according to the White House. And they promised action targeting left-wing groups, and it was kicked into gear following Charlie Kirk's assassination. Archie, are Antifa terrorists?
I don't really know. I mean, they're mainly non-violent, aren't they? But I know they've threatened to do some kind of action in the wake of Charlie Kirk, but I thought their whole thing was just, like, sitting down. I mean, they're quite lazy,
No, I think that's
generally.
just Stop Oil.
Well, I know Antifa, they do that, but...
Antifa, over here, they tend to be the ones that wear all the black masks and have the flags, and they're a bit... I would argue that they're a bit sinister. So they turn up at places and they do things. However, in America...
But they're not Osama bin Laden.
No, but in America, it's a little bit different because...
They've got guns.
Yeah, and they're all more aggressive. And, you know, like in the wake of George Floyd's death, when they had those mostly peaceful torchings of entire cities, that's like Antifa that are doing that kind of stuff. So, and the concern is, especially in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination...
It's that divide between... Obviously, I'm not a massive fan of Antifa, and I'm not defending them, but freedom of speech is also important, right? So it's that kind of... It's very easy to say, yes, prescribe everyone as a terrorist group when you don't agree with the aims of that particular organisation. So I'm nervous until I've... This is just breaking now, so until I've read more about it, I wouldn't know. But I'm not going to join Antifa, if that's what you're asking.
No, good. Well,
tonight, no.
I think they'd let you in that velvet jacket.
They'd love it.
To be honest. But... I don't know if you should be allowed anywhere in that jacket. But I think what's interesting about Antifa and what makes the distinction about them is that there are cells of Antifa that have sort of been pictured with clubs and with, carrying out violent acts. It's whether it's fair to label the whole of Antifa as that. You're quite right, during George Floyd as well. They seem to be the group that is has the propensity to violence from the left. It's whether that makes the whole of the group a fair comment to say that they are a terror group.
Because I mean, there are some really violent members of the Women's Institute. You know, it doesn't mean that we have to get rid of the whole of the Women's Institute. That's the problem, you see.
I suppose it depends on intelligence. I mean, one of the reasons why Yvette Cooper, when she was Home Secretary, got into a bit of trouble, apart from the fact that she's rubbish, right, was that...
She's still into railing.
No, she went off railing. Was that when she prescribed Palestine action, she didn't do us the courtesy of telling us exactly why. So she says, you know, she's got intelligence beyond the fact that they desecrated a plane at a military base. She says, we've got intelligence that would absolutely warrant them being classed as a terrorist organisation, but then didn't tell us. And so with Antifa, I suppose
there might be more.
Well, we'd have to know.
But also, that was enough. The fact that they went into a military base. I mean, if you actually look at the definition when it comes to the legal definition of a terror group, going into a base like that and damaging military equipment is. So I don't know why she would have said that she needed to tell us more.
But if you look at Palestine Action, they'd been accused of that military attack, which cost millions of pounds and was clearly damaging to our national defence. But also, members had been accused of throwing red paint over a Jewish-owned business and covering its mezuzah, the religious figure on the door. And so, you know, I think I supported it in principle. The fact is, does it work when people turn out in their thousands and you can't arrest them all? Then you undermine the whole concept. With making Antifa, which I don't really think is a thing here, or at least I'm not aware of it.
Epoxy,
but in the US, I think the timing of this matters, because coming after Charlie Kirk and the Jimmy Kimmel cancellation, well, is this actually just trying to whip up things rather than on principle because there was a terror threat?
Well, it's funny you should mention the Jimmy Kimmel thing, because Nigel Farage and the American administration got quite a lot of stick after Jimmy Kimmel was, quote-unquote, sacked. But then it's turned out that he's back. In fact, we've got a clip of him here. There he is, Jimmy Kimmel.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them.
Yeah, but then it's turned out he's back, and actually they say that he was suspended because they didn't like what he said. It was not like the Trump administration had been clamping down on free speech. Anyway, maybe we'll never know, but either way, Jimmy Kimmel's back. Perhaps his ratings will continue to be absolutely catastrophic. Anyway, we are going to be going stateside in just a moment, because Ben Leo and Bev Turner are getting ready to launch GB News' brand new show. It's the Late Show Live. It's going to be every single night. From midnight until 2 a.m. Just a couple of things on this. There's never been a better time to do it. We've got unrivaled access when it comes to the White House, the administration. There's so many issues there that are happening over here that are linked with the US, whether it's immigration, whether it's crime, whether it's freedom of speech, whether it's all of those things. We are going to be front and centre of that. And also, crucially, other news outlets are retreating from the States. We've decided to steam on straight in. Why? Because GB News is on the march. It's not stopping anytime soon. Stay tuned.
Hello, very good evening to you. This is your GB News weather update from the Met Office. If you thought it was a bit chilly last night, well, it's going to be another bit of a cold one tonight, with largely clear skies and light winds, all due to an area of high pressure being the imperfect ingredients for us to see our temperatures taking a bit of a dip. So it is going to stay mostly dry through the next few hours, the exception being just towards the far northeast of Scotland and maybe towards the southeastern tip of England as well, where there will be a few showers around. But otherwise, yes, a dry and clear night, which is why we're going to see those temperatures dropping. Even towns and cities getting into the low to mid single figures in quite a few places, and rural spots a few degrees lower than this, a touch of frost quite likely, especially across some parts of Scotland. As a result, there could be some mist and fog patches first thing tomorrow morning, but these will quickly burn away, and then it's looking like a fine sunny start across many southern areas, but some blustery winds and a few showers towards those southeastern coastal areas. Also a few showers for the far northwest of Wales, and could be a few coastal showers for parts of Scotland. Otherwise, across northern England, Northern Ireland and Scotland, it's looking largely dry. The showery bursts across Orkney and Shetland will continue again for a little while, but gradually easing as we go through the day. But the blustery showers across southeast England, they're actually going to pep up a little bit more as we go through into the afternoon. Also going to see a bit more cloud feeding in from the east, so turning cloudier across many parts of England and Wales, but most of us should still see some bright or sunny spells breaking through. And in the sunshine, not feeling too bad, even if on paper temperatures are a few degrees below average for the time of year. Another chilly night to come tomorrow night into Wednesday, and then another largely fine day, really. High pressure sticks around, and so the settled weather stays with us as we go through the end of the week and heading towards the weekend. Signs of some rain arriving, but before then, really it's staying dry, some decent sunshine on offer, and temperatures, well, around average, maybe a touch below at times. Bye-bye.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight, late edition, and in about 20 minutes' time, you're going to witness a TV revolution. It is the Late Show Live, and one of the hosts, the host who's, well, let's just say the main host, Beth Turner, is live now from Washington, D.C. Beth, thank you very much. Great to see you. You've had a little bit of an outfit change since the last time we spoke. Here, right now, on the show that I'm doing, which is all about Tuesday's newspaper front pages, they've gone after Nigel Farage, saying, oh, this new plan to tackle legal immigration, it won't work, it's going to ruin the NHS. You are in a country that has solved the migrant crisis, and I believe you've got a bit of that on your show tonight.
That's right, Patrick, we have. And also, can I just say, it is so nice to see you back as well. Huge congratulations from Ben, Leo and I here in Washington, D.C. I'm going to be in this seat Monday to Thursday. Ben will be in this seat Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Ben right now, though, is down in Arizona. Why? Because he wants to tell us from the site of the action what President Donald Trump has done to take illegal migration down from the hundreds of thousands to literally zero. And that isn't an exaggeration. They have had illegal migration down to zero. So we're going to be talking about that. How have they done it? Ben has spoken also to Carrie Lake. I love Carrie Lake, absolute fearless Republican. She's going to be down there. She's always been very outspoken on immigration as well. I believe she's spoken to Ben, Leo, a little bit about how she thinks Nigel Farage would get on were he in charge of the UK. And I've got an ex-Biden advisor with me tonight. I'm very much looking forward to discussing some of the issues with her. And we're also going to have, we've got a British but American-based commentator as well, who understands everything from both sides. So we've got a lot to talk about. I'm going to show you some behind the scenes of my trip to Air Force One. We're looking at the pictures here. This was, of course, Donald Trump and Keir Starmer in Chequers just a few days ago. And we will be discussing, as you have, Patrick, Jimmy Kimmel. Was he cancelled? Did they just suspend him temporarily? He's got his job back now. What does that mean? Did Donald Trump have anything to do with him getting kicked off, even if it was just for a few nights? So it's going to be a fantastic first show.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's going to be brilliant. I'll be glued to it here, and no doubt, many people will as well. Can I just ask a question that I imagine a lot of people at home might be asking? Right, so we're called GB News, and we unashamedly do a huge focus on what's going on right here where I am in Britain. There's clearly a market for that. So why is it, do you think, that we've decided to go there, launch in America, do the kind of shows that you guys are doing over there? Why do we think that's going to be appealing to our audiences here, Bev? And why is it important to people in Britain?
I think I caught that question, Patrick. I'm getting a few issues with the sound coming in and out, but I think you were saying, why are we here? Why does it matter? Well, I think everything that is happening here, you've seen me saying it on the trailer, What happens in the White House is happening down your street. Donald Trump literally just sort of kicks his feet in the water over here, and the tidal waves land on the shores in the UK. It's a really important time to look at what is happening here in America on all these big issues, because although this city, particularly Washington DC, is very divided on Donald Trump himself and who he is as a human being, they are doing well in lots of areas, and what I mean by that is they are keeping the promises that they made to the electorate. There is such an enormous gap between the politics of this country and the politics of the UK under Sir Keir Starmer. I'd say that difference has never been more stark than it is in 2025, and I think our audience, as I know you and I are, Patrick, are fascinated, frankly, by what this Trump administration are doing and how they're getting it done. I think one of the biggest differences that I've seen is the fact that they just do stuff. And in the UK, you know, Keir Starmer will suggest that we have a piece of policy research done. Can we have an inquiry? Can we have another research group? Trump goes, I think I know what I want to do, and I'm just going to get it done. And that, let me tell you, is incredibly refreshing to be around. Even in terms of like the crime on the streets of DC, I have seen a difference in 3 weeks from when I arrived in Washington to how it is today, because there are police everywhere. There is the National Guard everywhere. It feels so safe as a woman to walk out on the street. But if you go to talk to your Uber driver, as I do frequently, and say, how do you feel about the National Guard being on the street? They say they hate it. It's a fascinating time in American politics, and I'm so pleased that we can be here to bring everything that the UK needs to know about as well.
Fantastic. Well, look, Bev, good luck. Not that you need it. And also to Ben Leo as well. The nation will be glued to The Late Show live, not just tonight, but hopefully every single night going forward as well. Thank you very, very much. And again, I'll just say, you know, we have been given tremendous access over there, thankfully, at the White House. I mean, you can expect us, hopefully, to be at the forefront of, you know, all of those real news-making stories for the foreseeable future. And I think highlighting those differences, if you do buy into the view that we need to save the West, then, you know, it's really worthwhile having a look at what's going on in America and seeing that, you know, something that maybe starts over there, whether or not we're going to end up having that rippling over here. We are going to move on now, and we are going to be talking a little bit about this.
My mistakes have been put on the public stage. Other people's mistakes aren't.
Yeah, big mistake this, though. So Sarah Ferguson has been dropped by 7 charities. She's being cancelled in real time. Why? Well, because of Jeffrey Epstein. And now there are calls on the front of the Daily Mail for King Charles to banish Fergie. Stay tuned.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Hello. Well, it's a mixed picture out there across Europe. Rain and thunderstorms for some, but even still, we've got some warm sunshine out there. So showery outbreaks of rain affecting Madeira, but across much of Portugal and Spain, fine, dry and settled. But there is this area of low pressure, and that's going to bring showers, perhaps even thunderstorms, especially across the Alps. Best of the sunshine across Greece, feeling warm here. And that's a similar picture as we go through the week. Sunny spells and highs of up to 27 degrees.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Miriam, you can't be serious. Scrapping the triple lock on state pensions? Madness.
Andrew, we just can't carry on pretending. The numbers just don't add up. We've got to be honest with people. We've got to face the facts. That's what people want.
Well, that's what you get on GB News and on Britain's Newsroom. Lively debates, lively conversation.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first, and we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the latest edition. The newspaper I'm going to round up for you now is the Daily Mail, and that is, will the King now banish Fergie? It's Sarah Ferguson. 7 charities have cut ties with her. She's been banished from those charities, including Teenage Cancer Trust and the British Heart Foundation, I believe, because of her Epstein emails. Christo, are we witnessing the cancellation of Sarah Ferguson?
I think it has to happen, really. I mean, as you know, I am very critical of Harry and Meghan, and I think that it's time that I'm afraid that the Prince Andrew and Fergie go in the same folder, because it's about chipping away at the integrity of the Crown. And what Sarah Ferguson has done with this, you know, I don't know whether it was malicious, but it was certainly just absolutely mind-numbingly stupid to, you know, as stupid as Andrew, actually,
We're not far off having to set up a charity for Andrew and Sarah. The Andrew, do you know what I mean? It's going to eat itself up, this, isn't it?
I don't think either of them would... Well, actually, they'd probably welcome being a share of it, actually.
Practically, though, what is it the King can do? We talk about banishing them. I mean, it isn't medieval times.
Nothing. She's a member of the royal family. She doesn't have an HRH status. There is nothing he can do. She's out already.
If they had any integrity, they should banish themselves. They should actually say, we are stepping back now because we are so damaging to the Crown that we need to no longer... Because did you see them at the funeral of the I forget who...
Duchess of
Kent. And they looked like they were at a cocktail party. I mean, they were laughing away, looking quite happy. They were well chuffed in front of all the cameras. It was so distasteful. I mean, I just think you've got to go.
It spoke volumes that Prince William was ignoring Prince Andrew as he desperately tried to make some comedic comment. Judging by what we saw, he was laughing as William ignored him. So that tells you something about the family dynamics really not being happy about it. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but Sarah Ferguson shares a home with Prince Andrew still, which is a royal property.
Royal Lodge.
And so
31
should she not be kicked out of there? I mean, I really think this is despicable. The idea that she was saying in private, I only condemned you in public so I could keep my children's books and my children's charity work that makes me look good. I think that is utterly
really
deplorable.
Thick. Can I just say it's also really thick, like putting things in email. Do you know what I mean? There's like... If you, apart from the fact that it's obviously disgusting that she wants to be friends with the paedophile, but like the fact that, you know, there's other ways to do it. It's like, just send it. There'll be no trace of this email to Jeffrey Epstein.
She said it was based on advice she got. Well, who on earth gave her that advice? Because
well, probably the same person that told Andrew to sit down with Emily Maitlis. I mean, I suspect their advisors aren't top-notch.
I think in this case, I mean, I don't know Sarah Ferguson so well, but we've got to know Prince Andrew rather well, and clearly I don't think he needs any advisors to be any more stupid than he is. He is the idiot. In her case, I mean, I really don't have a lot of respect for Sarah Ferguson. I think she sort of endlessly tried to maintain this fame and rather easy life and easy money, while she's clearly a pretty dishonest person behind closed doors.
I think it's just misjudgment, and I don't think she's very bright. That's what I...
That's arguably the best case scenario in that situation, actually. Right, let me just give you a roundup of Tuesday's newspaper front pages so you can get your head around all of them. The Metro, PM defends Gatwick Airport expansion. Climate campaigners have said that they're angry with it, but that's because they are. That is the Metro. Starmer's backed Gatwick expansion. The next paper is The Guardian. Outrage as Farage threatens mass deportation of legal migrants. The Daily Star. New Reeves tax will drive punters to shady bookies. Essentially, Rachel Reeves is apparently planning on taxing people to having a punt at the bookmakers. The Eye newspaper goes for new Farage plans to deport migrants would split families who live in Britain. Parents who have lived in the UK for decades could be deported while their children would be able to stay. I would expect some clarification from Reform on this soon. The Independent, Farage deportation plan condemned as unworkable stunt. Can I just say the person that said that is Rachel Reeves? So, I mean, you know, there we go. The Mirror, Farage's disastrous plan has been labelled the NHS wrecker. They are saying that, well, he's going to deport half the NHS, essentially. Again, not quite true, because my understanding with that is that that happens only if you can't pay for your own way. The Daily Mail, will the King now banish Fergie? New crisis for the palace. At the Times, Farage faces questions on migrant benefit sums. The Sun say that Madeleine McCann, chief suspect Christian Brookner, essentially knows where she is. And The Express, we must make dementia a priority. That's all from me here tonight. Thank you very much. We are back at 11 p.m. tomorrow. I'm back at 9 p.m. actually. But in fact, I'm actually not. I wasn't really supposed to be in today. I'm back full-time from Friday. One of the reasons I wanted to come in tonight was because, as a channel, we are launching The Late Show Live, which is Bev Turner. Here she is.
Patrick, we've got a fantastic show coming up for you tonight. How has America solved their illegal migration problem? We're going to be looking at what was said in that press conference this afternoon. It's a big deal here. Autism. Donald Trump promised he was going to get to the bottom of what's causing it. Has he done that? After the weather, don't go anywhere.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, very good evening to you. This is your GB News weather update from the Met Office. If you thought it was a bit chilly last night, well, it's going to be another bit of a cold one tonight, with largely clear skies and light winds, all due to an area of high pressure being the imperfect ingredients for us to see our temperatures taking a bit of a dip. So it is going to stay mostly dry through the next few hours, the exception being just towards the far northeast of Scotland and maybe towards the southeastern tip of England as well, where there will be a few showers around. But otherwise, yes, a dry and clear night, which is why we're going to see those temperatures dropping. Even towns and cities getting into the low to mid single figures in quite a few places, and rural spots a few degrees lower than this, a touch of frost quite likely, especially across some parts of Scotland. As a result, there could be some mist and fog patches first thing tomorrow morning, but these will quickly burn away, and then it's looking like a fine sunny start across many southern areas, but some blustery winds and a few showers towards those southeastern coastal areas. Also a few showers for the far northwest of Wales, and could be a few coastal showers for parts of Scotland. Otherwise, across northern England, Northern Ireland and Scotland, it's looking largely dry. The showery bursts across Orkney and Shetland will continue again for a little while, but gradually easing as we go through the day. But the blustery showers across southeast England, they're actually going to pep up a little bit more as we go through into the afternoon. Also going to see a bit more cloud feeding in from the east, so turning cloudier across many parts of England and Wales, but most of us should still see some bright or sunny spells breaking through. And in the sunshine, not feeling too bad, even if on paper temperatures are a few degrees below average for the time of year. Another chilly night to come tomorrow night into Wednesday, and then another largely fine day really. High pressure sticks around, and so the settled weather stays with us as we go through the end of the week, and heading towards the weekend, signs of some rain arriving, but before then really it's staying dry, some decent sunshine on offer, and temperatures, well, around average, maybe a touch below at times. Bye-bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
This is your chance to win a motorhome and cash in our biggest giveaway to date. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be the proud owner of this 2025 Benamar Primero. It comfortably accommodates 4 people and can be driven on your standard driving licence. Plus, you'll also bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend on anything you like. Make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225.